Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and families of the Shadow Battalion. On behalf of the commander of the 1st of the 291st BSB, Lieutenant Colonel Kevin L. Mercer, we would like to welcome you to today's Relinquishment of Responsibility ceremony. This morning, Command Sergeant Major William Richards will relinquish responsibility for the 1st Battalion, 291st Regiment Brigade Support Battalion. The reviewing officer for today's ceremony is the commander of the 1st of the 291st, Lieutenant Colonel Kevin L. Mercer. At this time, Sergeant First Class Tracy Carr is presenting Mrs. Mandy Richards with a bouquet of red roses as a token of appreciation for her support to the battalion. Taking part in today's ceremony are Lieutenant Colonel Kevin L. Mercer, commander of the 1st of the 291st BSB, and Command Sergeant Major Richards, the outgoing 1st of the 291st Brigade Support Battalion Command Sergeant Major, and Sergeant First Class James Osman, the Commander of Troops for today's ceremony. The history of the non-commissioned officer dates as far back as the Roman Legion. They were referred to as legionnaires and were responsible for the discipline and training of the Roman soldiers. During the day of the American Revolution, it was evident that the Continental Army lacked discipline and training. Baron von Steuben stresses this in the fact that this regulation for the order of discipline of troops of the United States, referred to as the Blue Book. Through the years, the role of a non-commissioned officer has continued to evolve from the pre-revolution period to their roles as they exist today. The two basic missions of non-commissioned officers remain the same: the accomplishment of mission and the welfare of soldiers. The NCO has a key role in the Army's transformation, perhaps the premier role. As the Army becomes more deployable, agile, and responsive force, some units will reorganize and receive new equipment and learn new tactics. The NCO, as the leader, most responsible for the individual and small unit training, will build a foundation of the Army's objective force. New technology enables you to cover more ground and maintain better situational awareness, but individual collective tasks are more complex, requiring smaller unit leaders to coordinate and synchronize with soldiers' efforts and the systems they employ to a degree never seen before. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the invocation by Brigade Chaplain Major Wynn Hutchins and remain standing for the playing of the national anthem.
Please join me according to your faith tradition. Almighty God, our Creator, you are the source of all authority. For nearly 2.5 years, you have given the responsibility of caring for the Shadow Battalion and its soldiers to Command Sergeant Major William Richards. Today, we celebrate his service to 1291 Brigade Support Battalion and the impact he has made as he relinquishes the duties of Battalion Command Sergeant Major. Thank you for Command Sergeant Major Richards and the gifts and talents you have given him, which he used to bless his battalion and the entire brigade, even serving as Command Sergeant Major for the 1337 Marauders before coming to 1291. Please prepare the way for his wife Mandy and him as they begin the adventure of retirement together. I pray these things with thanksgiving, in the name above all names. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, Lieutenant Colonel Mercer will join Command Sergeant Major Richards for the passing of the battalion colors. The relinquishment of responsibility is an event rich in symbolism and heritage. The key of the ceremony is the passing of the organization colors, the very soul of the military unit and symbolized in the colors under which it fights. For they represent not only the lineage and honor of the organization, but also the loyalty and unity of its soldiers. The custodian of the colors is the senior enlisted soldier in the unit and the principal advisor to the commander. The passing of the colors represent the relinquishment of responsibility of the outgoing Command Sergeant Major. At this time, Sergeant Class Osman will pass the colors to Command Sergeant Major Richards for the final time. Command Sergeant Major Richards will pass the colors to Lieutenant Colonel Mercer, relinquishing his responsibility to the commander and the soldiers of the Shadow Battalion. Lieutenant Colonel Mercer passes the colors to Sergeant Class Austin for safekeeping until such time the next Command Sergeant Major assumes responsibility. By the authority of AR 600-20, Command Sergeant Major William Richards relinquished responsibility of the 1st and 291st Brigade Support Battalion, 181 Walter Infantry Training Brigade, 1st Army, Division West, effective 30th October 2020, signed Lieutenant Colonel Kevin L. Mercer, commanding. Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the 1st of the 291st Brigade Support Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Kevin L. Mercer.
To Colonel Woodruff, fellow battalion command teams, friends and families, visitors, and most importantly, the soldiers of the Shadow Battalion, good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the Relinquishment of Responsibility ceremony for the 1st Battalion, 291st Regiment Brigade Support Battalion. It's a great day to serve and a privilege to command, as well as host today's event. But it's also saddening to give farewell to not only my Command Sergeant Major, but also my friend. Thanks for taking the time out of your schedule to join the Shadows here today to honor Command Sergeant Major Richards, who's dedicated himself to a life of service to this great organization known as the United States Army, our country, and the Army's greatest assets, its soldiers. I promised Command Sergeant Major Richards that I wouldn't tarry too long, because I know today is about him, so I don't want to take up too much of his time. To set today's tone, a Relinquishment of Responsibility ceremony is as much about recognizing great soldiers as it is about outgoing Command Sergeant Majors. Today is no exception. Our readiness is due to its well-trained, well-disciplined, and well-led soldiers. That readiness comes from a foundation built upon a shared set of standards and values. Yet our standards and values alone do not define our military's unprecedented success. To be effective, standards and values must be taught, reinforced, and exemplified every day. This is the work of the Non-Commissioned Officers Corps. Therefore, NCOs are the standard keepers. Professional non-commissioned officers provide inspiration and motivation. They train our formations, they care for our service members and their families, and they provide invaluable advice and guidance to our officer corps. Command Sergeant Major Richards, those words describe me to a T. The epitome of be no do. I appreciate your support and dedication to this command over the last 2 years. You have more than willingly represented the concerns, needs, and expectations of the many enlisted service members and officers who are the life and bloodline of this command. Command Sergeant Major, today is your last ceremony that you will take part in as we draw near to your end. Your distinguished 24-year Army career. During your time here at Fort McCoy, you've seen many come and go. Of these being 3 brigade commanders, 4 brigade command sergeant majors, and 3 battalion commanders, all while being the battalion command sergeant major of 1337 BSB, the Marauder Battalion, and currently the 1291st BSB Shadow Battalion. You have successfully served as a command sergeant major during a particular critical time of COVID for our soldiers and families. Under your watch, this command has maintained steady relations with our partner units, executed numerous CSTXs, MCJAs, and pre-mobile engagements. You've moved this battalion forward past the starting point and enacted new policies to improve the quality of life of our service members and their families. You've used your experience, common sense, rank, and authority to tell the soldier story. Throughout your career, you've always sought to benefit others and never yourself. By doing so, you have demonstrated what it means to be the servant leader. You have been the voice of our service members and the advocate of their families. So let me express their gratitude for all you have done on their behalf. Additionally, for me, as the senior enlisted advisor of this battalion, you provided wise counsel and loyal service, as well as a friendship that will last past today. As every commander knows, the command sergeant major truly is the voice of reason, and a profession that can be marked by chaos and uncertainty. Job well done. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Mandy, your wife, the one that's been there for you. Throughout your military career, through the ups and the downs, and through many assignments where there was no certainty or guarantees, Mandy stood by providing your counsel. So Mandy, I appreciate you for understanding and supporting him through it all. Best wishes and Godspeed to you, Mandy and the boys, Gavin and Alex, as you prepare to travel, search, and quarter on the ski slopes of the East Coast. Fitting for today, I know you're not a cavalry soldier, but I like the words, and I like to say this farewell. May your horse always be steady. May your aim always be true. May your lover always have your heart. May peace and prosperity always hover over your dwelling. May health and happiness always be a frequent visitor. And may our parting words always be fare thee well and never goodbye. And may our paths cross as we travel these cavalry cut trails. Today, as we turn another page in history of this battalion, as we do, we can and will continue to win war and peace in the shadows.
Ladies and gentlemen, Command Sergeant Major William Richards.
Good morning. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone who's taken the time out of their day to be here today, both in person and virtually. The fact that you've taken the time to spend a few minutes with me today is truly humbling. I would ask that everyone bear with me today. This is the final time that I'll have the privilege of speaking in front of a group of soldiers, and there are certainly many to thank, and we all know that you can't close out anything in First Army without an AAR and sharing some lessons learned. I promise I'll spare the AAR. I'd like to start today by thanking a few people who are truly important to me. I'd be remiss if I didn't start with the most important in my life, the most important person in my life, my wife, Maddie. She's more than just my wife. She's my partner. She's the person I look to for advice. She motivates me every day to be the best person that I can be. She's always there for me when I need her. She makes me smile and laugh each and every day. My life wouldn't be nearly as bright without her in it. And for that, I love you. Thank you for always being there. And speaking of being there, I hope you're ready to have me around a lot more because you're going to be seeing an awful lot of me pretty soon. To my boys who couldn't be here today, you bring me so much joy. Gavin, to say I'm proud of the young man you've become, and Alex, the young man you are becoming, would be an absolute understatement. I love you both and can't wait to be able to spend even more time with you. Shredcation 2021 starts soon. I hope you two are ready. I have to say there are many folks who would tell you that after a long Army career, that the Army made them who they are today. I've never felt that that was the case for me. At my core, I'm the same person today that I was nearly 24 years ago. I'm still stubborn. I still want to do things the way that I want to do them. I still don't like being told what to do. And I still think I'm right 99% of the time. But I also have a strong work ethic and a drive to be the best in everything that I do, the same as I did back then. While the Army values are a great set of values to live by, I already had a strong value set and moral compass before I joined the Army. I wouldn't have been successful without all of those characteristics, and I owe all of that to my parents. Mom, Dad, I know you wanted to be here today, and I know you're watching from home. Thank you for everything you've done over the years. The Army did not make me the man I am today. You did. And for that, I'll be forever grateful. I love you both. Can't wait to see you in a few weeks. To Dale and Carol, thank you for welcoming this damn Yankee into your family and giving me one of the best gifts anyone has ever given me, your beautiful daughter. I love you both, and I promise y'all that I'm studying my Southern grammar every single day. I'd like to give a special thank you to Miss Sherry Klein. I doubt that there is anyone in this room who knows Sherry. However, I can assure you that there are thousands of Rangers and Special Forces alumni who know her well. Sherry, what you do for our community to keep our history and heritage alive is truly amazing. I'm so honored and humbled that you would make this trip to share it with me today. This is normally where I would sneak in my pitch for a Distinguished Member of the Regiment nomination or a Ranger Hall of Fame nomination, but we'll save that for another time. Thank you for honoring me with your presence today. And thank you to Ranger Barry Hayes for making sure that you had a proper Ranger escort. Lieutenant Colonel Mercer, thank you for the kind words today. We had our moment last night at dinner, and I think that it was perfect. I would be a fool to try and improve on perfection, but I will leave you with this. In a few months, you'll have a new and very capable Command Sergeant Major. But remember, my number won't change, and help will always be given to those who need it. Last night, I had the chance to thank the Shadows in private. I will tell you, all of you, that I meant every word of what I said. You're a tremendous group of people, and you really have made my final years in this formation an absolute joy and pleasure. I'm so proud of each and every one of you, and all that you've achieved over the last few years. I'd like to share with all of you what I told the Shadows last night. You, the Shadows, are the best OCs in this brigade. Every single command team will say that about the battalions, and they should. But not many of them can back it up like you can. Your depth of knowledge on partnership methodology, the reserve SRM model, unit training management, the mobilization process, the UST, human responsibilities, developing and executing pre-mob training, and strategies for training proficiency are unmatched. I doubt that there are many OCs in the brigade who can tell me which section of the UST covers COCOM-specific training, or who can walk me through a PY3 unit medal crosswalk like you can, or who know that there is no such thing as a P+ medal assessment. That's for Doug Wallace, I don't know what it is. Over the last 2 years, you have cultivated an identity for our battalion. We know that excellence lurks in the shadows. And while humility and humbleness are good virtues to have, it's okay to let everybody know that you're the best. Own it. Be proud of it. And don't be afraid after I'm gone once in a while to remind everybody that if they want to know what a professional OC looks like, they only need to peer into the shadows to find out. Thank you again for all you've done and what you guys continue to do over the years. You know, I've been afforded the opportunity to learn many valuable lessons over the years. For instance, you can jump out of planes during peacetime at 1,500 feet, and during combat at 800 feet. It only takes one combat jump to learn how much you're going to really miss that extra 700 feet when you slam into the ground at night like a lawn dart. That was a painful lesson. I've also learned along the way some of the most important lessons that you can learn as a leader. Currently, the Army is working on the issue of building trust between leaders and soldiers in their ranks. I would tell you, over the years, I found that if you truly want to build trust with your soldiers, all you have to do is get to know them. Know who has a child or a family member with special needs and how you can help them when the need arises. Know them well enough to see when you have a geo-bachelor who's missing his or her family, and then do your best to get them some leave to go home so they don't become overwhelmed and distracted. Know them well enough to know who's struggling in their marriage, and that maybe they may need a fewer TDY trips to keep things on the rails. If you really want to build trust with your soldiers and in your formations, all you have to do is talk to them. Make time for them. Let them know at every opportunity that your door is always open and that you're never too busy for them when they need it. Get to know them and then do your absolute best to take care of them if they need it. If you do that, I'll promise you, you'll build trust in your formation and you'll have soldiers who are loyal to you and your organization. I've also learned what I think is the most important lesson that one can learn over a career. It's a really simple lesson, and it's this. Your book of life is long. It's filled with many chapters. Chapters that are sad, some that are happy, some are filled with tragedy, and some are triumphs. But in the end, the Army, your career, this chapter, it's exactly that. It's one chapter in your book of life. It could be a short chapter, or in my case, it could be a long one, that until now seemed would never end. No matter the length of that chapter, don't let it define you. Make sure that you take care of the people who will be there with you as you write the next chapter. There are many in this room who will tell you that the mission comes first. I would offer to all of you that your family should come first. And that if you lose yourself in the mission and all that comes with it, your next chapter and the chapter after that may end up a tragedy instead of a triumph. When you hang up that uniform for the final time, the Army wants you to believe you're a soldier for life. And you very well may be. But the Army isn't going to be standing there with you on day one of retirement. It will be your family who is there to help you write that next chapter. So please, be sure to put them first now so that they're there with you, so the next chapter can be the best chapter. And finally, I'll close with this. Almost 23 years ago to the day, I began my career with one of the most important ceremonies of my career. I think there may be one person in this room who was at that ceremony. That'd be RSM Brackhouse sitting up in the back. During that ceremony, after many weeks of hard work, I earned the privilege of pinning a 3rd Ranger Battalion scroll to my left shoulder and donning a black beret for the very first time. I'll never forget the gratification of finally being able to walk under the 75th Ranger Regiment scroll in front of those old red barracks. I would go on to wear that black beret and later a tan beret nearly every day for 17 years. I revered those berets. To me and many others who earned the right to wear them, they were never just pieces of cloth. The blood, sweat, and yes, tears it took to earn the right to wear those berets will stick with me forever. Neither of those berets ever touched the ground. When they weren't on my head, they were always folded and handled with the utmost care and respect. Today, those 2 berets are carefully wrapped in tissue paper and packed away for safekeeping. Someday, I'll be able to show those berets to my grandchildren and tell them a few of the stories that came with wearing them. And it will only be a few because most aren't inappropriate. As I began my almost 24-year-long career by donning a black beret in that ceremony, I felt that it would only be fitting for my career and this ceremony to end in a way that brought the whole thing full circle. So with that, thank you all. Thank you all for attending today. Rangers lead the way in the shadows to win war and peace. Shadow 7, signing off today.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join in the singing of the first Army song and the Army song. The words can be found on the back of your program.
Army is the best. Army is as happy as can be. The First Army is the best. Army always bringing victory. The First Army is the best. Army is the best in any land. It's big and strong. Our mighty First Army is grand. First to land on Normandy, first to enter Bulgaria, first to cross the river Rhine, first on the battle line. First Army is the best, Army is as happy as can be. The First Army is the best, Army always bringing victory. The First Army is the best, Army is the best in any land. It's big and strong, our mighty First Army is grand.
March along, sing a song, we're the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong.